What is up, guys? It is PDS coming at you with another deck profile. Today, I will be showing you my true Draco deck. So I played this deck actually at Nationals so many years ago, but I was able to play it at Plat 1, and I am 19-1 with this deck. My only loss was to Drytron. He opened Herald of the Orange Light, and he had Ash Blossom, so he completely screwed me. So I was just like, no, and then he full comboed me. So that was really unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm going to show you guys the deck and show you how to just a little bit of the plays here. So it is free to play actually, guys, as well. So as you guys can see here, it only has one UR, and that is Solemn Judgment, which everybody should have. So it's really 0 URs. I'll show you guys the more optimized list after, and then it's actually not even more expensive. It's not too much more expensive, but yeah, let's get onto the card to card. So Majesty Maiden. So all of the monsters have an effect where you contribute continuous spells or traps instead of monsters. So that's really strong. And this one, the girl, when your opponent activates a card or effect and you control it, tribute summoned, discard tribute summoned, you can add one True Draco or True King monster from your deck. So this one is going to search all of your monsters. So she's really nice, but she's probably the weakest out of the other ones. So you only play 2 copies, and you play an extremely low monster count due to having to rely on Card of Demise, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. So Ignis Heat is the next one. So same effect, you contribute, instead of tributing a monster, you contribute a continuous spell or trap. It can be face up or face down. And then this one, when your opponent activates a monster or anything, you know, any effect or any card, you can take one continuous spell and either activate it immediately or you can add it to your hand. So really nice just to get a continuous spell onto the field. And yeah, of course you can only get that effect if it was tribute summoned. And then finally we have the best one, Dynamite Knight, the true Draco fighter. So he has the same effect, you know, with tributing the continuous spells and traps. Same thing if you control it while it's tribute summoned. Whenever they activate anything, you can take one True Draco or True King continuous trap and either add it or activate it. So if you guys know trap cards, they're usually pretty good, right? But they're really slow. So the fact that he lets you just activate one from your deck is really good. So he's definitely by far the best one, especially because the trap cards are pretty powerful in this deck. But I'll get into that. So next up we have Card of Demise. This card lets you draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. So you're like, okay, that's whatever, but your opponent doesn't take any damage, and you cannot special summon to turn you activate this, and then during the end phase you discard your whole hand. So basically when you activate this card, you're usually going to activate it on main phase 2 after you've done damage, because you can do damage then activate this card, and then you want to set your entire hand, or you want to play out your whole hand and then draw 3 cards, which is really good to dig for like Skill Drain or Monarch's Erupt, and then you set your whole hand, and then at the end phase, you won't discard anything because you won't have anything in your hand. So it's really strong. And then, of course, the continuous spells work really well with this card. But again, I'll get into that in a little bit. So Pot of Duality just for consistency. Pot of Desires. This card is kind of risky in this deck, but it does say you draw 2 cards. So really nice card. Definitely recommend playing it. Okay, so this card, the Dragonic Diagram, really good. Every card in this deck is good, to be honest, guys. That's why you're playing 3 copies of like nearly everything. So all True Draco monsters on the field gain 300. And then the first time each tribute summon True Draco would be destroyed by battle, it is not destroyed. So that's really strong. And then this effect is just crazy. Once per turn, you can destroy one other card you control or in your hand, and then you add one True Draco or True King card from your deck. So this card literally searches for any monster or any spell or any trap that says True Draco. So really good card. And you definitely want to be using this when you're... So what you usually do is you set the or activate the spell or the trap, the True Draco cards, and then you pop it with Diagram, and then you'll get your bonus effects off of your spells and traps. So really nice card. But let's move on to the next one. Okay, True Draco Heritage. So the spells are pretty similar, but they have one unique effect to both of them. So during your main phase, you can draw cards equal to the number of True Draco and True Draco card types, monster spells, and traps sent from the field to the graveyard this turn. So that's whether they get destroyed, whether they get tributed over, by any means that they get sent to the from the field to the graveyard. So that's why you want to use your Diagram on face down cards, because they have to be sent from the field to the graveyard. If you destroy them in your hand, you won't be able to get the bonus effect. So That is to draw a card, right? And also to we'll get a little bit into the other effects. So when you tribute over a monster, you get to draw a card. If you tribute over a monster and a spell, you get to draw 2 cards. If you if you sent 3 monster, spell, and trap, you would draw 3. That effect is kind of rare, but it's really good. Basically you get to draw a lot of cards. And then this effect is shared by both of the spells. During your main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, tribute summon 1 True Draco or True King monster face up. So you can get additional summons with this card, which is really nice when you draw additional monsters with card demise. In most decks, you have to discard those additional monsters drawn by card demise, but because you get additional normal summons, you don't have to discard them, and you get their bonus effects of, whenever they activate something, you can start plussing like crazy, so really, really nice. And then the spells also have another effect. When a card has like multiple effects, it's really good. So if this card is sent from the field, if this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you can target 1 spell on the field, destroy it. So you don't want to use this if your opponent doesn't have anything, but if they have something, you can go ahead and force out their back row. So that's why this deck is really good going first or second, because it can pick apart boards really easily with the spells and traps. As you'll see in the replays, I'm going to show you guys some replays too. So the next spell has the same effect, pretty similar, except the first effect. So you can target 3 True Draco cards in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, then draw 1 card. So really good grind game on this deck. And then the other effect is the same. During your main phase, you can immediately tribute summon 1 monster face up, and then if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 spell trap on the field, destroy it. So the draw effect is really good. Definitely Heritage is the better card because of the ability to draw 1 to 3 cards. But yeah, this card also comes up if you're in a grind game. So definitely want to play 3 copies of it as well. Next up, we have Monarch Stormforth. This card is really nice in conjunction with the trap cards, but it's also good in case you can't get rid of one of their monsters and you just need to tribute over it. So what you can do is activate the spell cards to get an additional summon, and then chain Stormforth, or just activate Stormforth and then activate this, and then you can additional summon tribute over their monster, and then you can use one of your guys just to tribute over the spell, so you can get 2 monsters on the field really easily. So I really like that about this. And then also you get to pop a spell or trap on the field, so you just get insane momentum off of that. So then we have the 1 of Judgment, 2 Rivalry, one of the best floodgates in this deck. You can also play, there can be only one, but that card's a UR, and I'm trying to make this deck as cheap as possible. I think it costs like 570 SR gems or something to make. Okay, then we play 3 Skill Drain. Obviously, if you guys have played on the ladder, you guys know Eldritch loves this card. This deck also loves this card, but we also have 3 more copies of Skill Drain. Monarchs are up. You can only activate this card if you have no cards in your extra deck and control a tribute summon monster, which is perfect for this deck. Negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field while those monsters are face-up on the field, except tribute summon monsters. So even if they get rid of your tribute summon monster, this effect will still negate all of their monsters, and you have a full turn to get another monster on the field before this card kills itself. So really good card, and you're playing 6 copies of Skill Drain basically, so it's really, really strong. And finally, we have the traps. So the trap, True King's Return. So it has the ability of when it's sent from the spawn trap zone to the graveyard, you target 1 monster on the field and destroy it. So this card is insane against one of the most powerful monsters in the metagame right now, which is the Herald of Perfection and Herald of Ultimateness. So these cards can only negate the activation of cards, but if you set this card and then tribute over it with your True Draco monsters, this effect in the graveyard cannot be negated by Herald because it is an effect activation and not a card activation. So, when you activate a card, that's like playing Pot of Duality on the field. That is activating a card. But when a card is activated in the graveyard, it is an effect. So he cannot negate the effect. So effectively, you can just destroy it, and you don't have to worry about it negating all of your cards. So that's why you want to max it on the traps, because that interaction is really, really powerful. So it has another effect. You target 1 True Draco or True King monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position. And then the final effect is during your opponent's main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, tribute summon 1 True Draco. So what you can normally do is you activate that effect to tribute. You tribute over this trap card, you summon one of your monsters in your hand, and then the trap card, because it was sent from the spell trap zone to the graveyard, you can pop a card on their field. So it's really, really good for picking apart boards. And like I said, you can literally just set them as well and tribute over them while they're face down and pop monsters, so it's really good. This card is probably these two cards are really good. Like, I think their strength level is rivaled like to each other. So this one, same thing. You know, if it's sent from the spell trap to the graveyard, you can target one monster in the field, destroy it. And then this one's effect is you can target one other true Draco or true King card. So that includes spells, traps, monsters, destroy it. And if you do, the attack and defense of all face-up monsters your opponent controls become half. So that's permanent. It's not until the end of the turn. It literally lasts forever. And it's really good if they're trying to stall you. And it has the same effect of being able to give you the summon on your opponent's turn. So yeah, that is the deck. I know it was a lot to absorb. I'm going to show you guys these replays now. And you guys can get a better understanding of how each card works and how powerful this deck is. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to show you the more refined list that's not free to play. It's like slightly more money, but it's still really good. So this is the list. It's basically the same thing, but you just have, you know, 3 judgments and Imperial Order. And yeah, this deck is really good. I went 19-1 with it. So without further ado, let's watch the replays. If you guys want a more in-depth guide on how to beat the meta with this deck, let me know in the comments. And if not, then, you know, just enjoy the replays for what they are. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.